Hello, everybody. Welcome to the new episode of GPRO Podcast with your host, Jun. And I'm here with a very special guest, Jukka Sireni. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing fine, thanks.
Good, good. It's been a while since we had a little chat, so it's definitely good to have a little talk. So, firstly, introduce yourself. Let us know who you are.
Well, I'm Jukka and I'm 33 years old. I used to play GPRO, but then I became admin and then I quit that and now I'm just lurking there basically. And well, in real life, I'm a data analyst in a Finnish bank, so working with credit risk data. And well, I don't know if I have too much life, but well, I'm single and living alone unless I'm at my parents, then I'm there. And what would I say? Well, that's pretty much it. I'm quite dull.
I wouldn't say it though. I mean, what do you do in your job then? So you're a data analyst for a Finnish bank. So what does your job entail you to do?
Well, I'm working with databases and well, I'm trying to, well, basically I'm in risk management. So we get data from everywhere from the bank systems and we try to build risk models to predict how much losses we get from different customers and then basically try to select those customers that don't get us losses and then also 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 the regulation from the EU is quite strict, so we need to kind of make the regulator happy so that we can continue working as a bank.
That's fair enough. No, it must be a very important job then if if one of your job is to literally make sure the bank doesn't lose any money. So, definitely an important job for sure. But
Yeah.
is there like, is that kind of your like ideal job, or what's your like dream job that you would want to do?
Well, when I went to university, I thought that I would stay there, be a researcher, study mathematics, but then I don't know. I think GPRO partly ruined my mathematician career because I spent all my time in GPRO and I had no I was lazy studying, but I think my work now is quite nice. It is quite the same as playing GPRO. So I fiddle with the data and try to combine it and try to find out what is wrong with the data and how to make it better, and also then try to crack the formula and stuff like that.
Good, yeah, definitely similar to GPRO then for sure. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, like, so how did you find GPRO? Because obviously, you considered one of the legends of GPRO, to be honest. Not only you get into winning elite championships, but also becoming an admin and, giving us a whole bunch of new stuff for GPRO. But how did you find it? How did you find the game?
Well, I think there was a topic in a Finnish F1 forum. It said that a competitor for pitball. I never knew what the pitball was, and I think it took some time before I even read that topic. But there was a link to GPRO, and I tried it. And well, that's how I ended there, and the rest is kind of history.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So how did you find the game initially when you started? Like, did you find it interesting, or did you find it like difficult, or how did you find it?
It's so long time ago. I think it was, well, I was kind of lost. I think when I look back what I did when I started, it's absolutely horrible. But I think it was interesting and well, I think initially I wasn't so much hooked, but it took some time to get used to, or kind of get used to being in forums and play silly games and stuff like that. But I think I was even the first race was interesting, even though I was totally overfueled and almost ended up making one stop race when I was playing to make two stop race. But
Fair. So like obviously the first team you joined, how was that? Because I believe the team that you joined, I can't remember what the name was, but it was a very popular team back in the day. Had a lot of quite good managers. I think it was I think Chinmay was part of it, Armin, Van Hulkenberg, there's quite a lot of few kind of old school managers. How did that team come about? Because you joined, quite near the start of that.
yeah, well, I don't really remember too well. I think well, the team was kind of declining. I think it had lost some managers, and then they accepted me, and I think I learned some stuff, and there was some discussion, but it wasn't too active, and then I think if I remember right, it collapsed or something quite quickly.
That's fair. I mean, yeah, you weren't at that team for very long because you moved to, what was the next team you moved to? Was it, I can't remember. Was it Jaguar? I can't remember which team you moved to.
I think I was only in Ajapala, Sevinen, and Versant. I think that was only teams I was at. Let's see.
Yes. No, yeah,
I
you did.
checked my history.
No, yeah, you did move to Versant. Yes, you moved to Versant straight after that.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Because obviously Versant at that time was a relatively new team. Because obviously it was called the Twilight Zone with Thomas Wypich, and obviously then they changed the name to Versant when Chris Carter took over. So how did that come about for you?
Well, we in my first team. Well, let's see if I don't remember the names anymore. But well, I think my team leader actually suggested that I would apply. It was kind of
Okay.
funny. So Boden Ebery was the team leader, I think, and I think I understood that he would apply too. So I don't know if he never applied, but I think he was saying that that would be a nice team, so we should apply there. And well, I applied and got accepted, but Bowden then stayed in my first team.
Fair. So who was the who was the team leader in Versant at the time? Do you remember?
Was it Jonathan already? I'm not sure.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but I can't really remember. But obviously, you've been with us, and up until the time you became an admin, so 45 plus seasons. So, how did that team fit your kind of play style? Did it improve your play style, or did you like have a good sense of kind of family there? Like how was the team for you? Because obviously you stayed there for pretty much all your whole career. So
Yeah. What would I say? I think, well, I was sometimes thinking that maybe I should go to kind of more serious team. I think Versant was kind of close to there, but not so, not 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 the very top team. But then well, I think it was well. I was I I think the spirit was still good, and I then never really bothered to leave. And well, there was times when then there was more activity and more kind of building tools and both data grabbing and also developing the formula. And then there was times when it was not so active. But yeah, I think it worked quite nicely.
That's fair. No, it's good. Obviously, with your career, you fluctuated between master and elite and master and elite, never dropping down to pro. But did you find that kind of tedious, kind of moving back and forth without winning a championship at all, or like what was your thoughts on that when you were doing that while playing?
Well, I think master was quite comfortable league. I never had any. Well, after my first stint there, so I dropped to pro once, but after that I never had any troubles there. And the only trouble was that I was getting too good results and I was getting to elite too soon. But well, I don't know. Well, my first elite stint was just cruising with pippies, so I never even tried. Well, the second stint, I was almost as clueless then, but I tried a bit with Avons. And well, the third stint was already quite serious, but in elite, but well, I failed. I think, well, it was much harder to get to elite then because the super TDs were there. So basically, before you get the super TD, you just couldn't get your car level high enough. And then I ended up losing my money by hiring one.
Yeah.
So, but well, I don't know. I was just, I wouldn't say it was uncomfortable going back and forth. I think sometimes I just did too well in master and ended up in elite, and then I happened to win. So that was basically it.
Like, did you feel the level between master and elite work like, was it a huge gap between the two levels? Because obviously you said master was quite comfortable for yourself. Obviously you can stay in master for quite a bit, but then obviously once you get to elite, is it like a completely new level for you? How was that jump for you?
Yeah, it was. Well, I don't know. I never managed to settle there. So I just won the titles and then I became the admin. But I think it is kind of hard there because the top never leaves to higher levels, so top just stays there. And well, I never. Well, in master I was quite comfortable with the sponsor market as well, but in elite I never managed to become comfortable with it. And well, I don't know if that is kind of too much difference. It is just, well, of course everything is a bit easier in master, but I don't know if it's too much. So well, of course, if you want top driver, you have more competition and also tires cost more, so you have less kind of room for errors and stuff like that.
No, okay, that's fair. Yeah, I would have thought because once you were jumping back and forth from master and elite, I would have thought the gap between the two would have been quite big. A much bigger jump than pro to master, shall we say? No, hearing that is actually yeah. So obviously, you won 2 elite championships. We can't deny that. You won it obviously on the seasons where driver energy became a thing. So how did you manage that? Obviously, with driver energy becoming part of the game, and then you won 2 elite championships straight afterwards. Like, how did you work that out? How did you manage to kind of combat that?
Well, I think I got a bit lucky. there happened to be a great driver in the market when I came to Elite, and well, the energy basically made the drivers more important. So and when I got the driver, I was in pretty good place, even though I didn't realize that myself then.
Yeah.
And well, I don't know. It kind of, well, of course, the car level became a bit less important, and there was no super TDs there. So I ended up taking a TD more for the pit coordination and pit stop times, and I think that was also a good decision. So I won quite many places in pits that season.
Fair.
But I think I was as clueless with energy as everyone else. I just got lucky.
I mean, winning it once might be lucky, but obviously you won it 2 years and 2 seasons in a row. So you must have had some form of understanding of the mechanics or something,
Yeah, I don't know. I think, well, it kind of even made easier to win during the first season, because training Spa got you motivation quite quickly. So it was easier to close the gap to someone who may have had full motivation. And I don't know. I think I was quite good in optimizing the car part usage. So that kind of made master easy, and then I had enough money to conquer Elite.
That's fair enough. Obviously, you won season 58, 59. Season 60 is where it went really interesting, where you became an admin, while defending your Elite Championship crown. So how did that come about? Like, what was the process between you getting the position of admin on GPRO?
Well, I think, Vlad asked me and I agreed. I think there was not too much beyond that. But, well, of course, I had developed the race viewer before that, and I don't know, back then it felt like a good idea, and I was also quite curious to see the inner workings. And I don't think it was a bad idea, but then my life situation changed a bit, and well, then I didn't have so much time like I thought I would. Well, I was jobless when I accepted, but then I got a job quite quickly. But yeah, initially I think it was, well, maybe in hindsight, maybe we could have discussed a bit more about how I see the future of GPRO and how Vlad sees it. But yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I didn't know it was quite a quick conversation. I thought you would have spoken for at least a couple of seasons or something. Talking about the ins and outs of what you bring to the table and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's surprising to hear that it was actually quite a relatively quick decision by Vlad.
Yeah, of course, I had worked quite a lot with the race viewer, but yeah, I think at least from my part it was quite big process of them becoming an admin.
Yeah. So yeah, you brought up the race view, and let's talk about it. How did that idea first come about for you? Obviously, because a lot of people were talking about it in forums about having a live race viewer where we can see cars moving around the track, fighting for position. But how did that come about for yourself? How did that idea come into your head?
I don't really remember how it, well, Well, the first, I think, I don't remember when it was. It must have been something like season 40 or something like that.
Well,
We
okay.
had we had a website in version. Basically, it had been developed to grab the data, and well, I was basically playing a bit with data grabbing and a bit with JavaScript, and well, at first it was just that it basically went through the race history, so or that race viewer at that point. So it went through every lap and grabbed the situation, and then well, basically inner working was quite the same, but basically it was just dots going around the circle. And well, I think it may have been even a bit earlier than season 40, but then I forgot it for a long time. And when, well, at some point I made for Jonathan, I made a bit better version of it so that he could show those F1 revisited races. He used that sometime for it, and well, I don't know. At then at some point I just got an idea that maybe I show this to Vlad, and well, he got interested.
Well, of course, yeah. I mean, it's a complete. Back at the time, it was completely brand new. I mean, obviously, a moving track, with cars moving about, much easier on the visuals for everyone, rather than looking at a stationary screen for 2 minutes and then waiting for it to refresh. So it's definitely, a brand new look into the game. But yeah, how did you like the screen when it came live? Like, was it exactly how you wanted it to be, or was there like any kind of errors or any kind of minor tweaks that you wanted to do?
Well, of course there was quite many challenges. Well, I'm not that good in programming kind of the techniques, so that was a bit challenging. And well, I think I don't like the overtaking mechanism too much. I think it's a bit clumsy. So basically, because I only have the lap times, so and then I try to make kind of good looking simulation based on those. So, but if there's lots of happening, lots of cars passing each other, then it doesn't always look too nice.
Yeah, but would you think that's based on the fact that GPRO's kind of race mechanics are built that way, or like, why do you think that would be the case? That the overtaking mechanism looks clunky to you or clumsy to you?
Yeah, well, I think, well, basically, I don't know, maybe we did more pre-calculation so that more data was passed to your browser and your browser was told more what to do, then it might look better, but I don't have too many ideas for that. Well, when I was admin, I tried to develop a race engine itself so that, or basically I was making a totally new race engine so that it would kind of be, instead of simulating one lap at a time, it would simulate kind of continuously or kind of in small steps, and in track would be divided by sectors and stuff like that. So it might have made it look better, but it wasn't so easy. Or kind of, I have a visual how I would it like to look like, but I just couldn't make it look like that.
Yeah, no, I can understand, especially like so many steps in your like kind of new vision of the new race engine. Yeah, I can see how it's so much more difficult trying to get that to work as opposed to what it currently is, which is fair enough. Obviously, we were talking about a potential GPRO 2.0. We had this conversation on the forums about probably nearly a year ago, maybe. Now I can't remember how long it was, but kind of what is your ideal GPRO 2.0? Like, what would you want to include in that game? Should you have the opportunity to kind of co-create that with Vlad, or maybe do it yourself or someone else?
Yeah, I think, well, if I was to develop my own game, well, I might plan into some legal issues because it would look very much like GPRO, but it would mostly be kind of rebalancing and kind of, well, maybe, I don't know. I think in lower levels it's too much about driver at the moment, so I would like to address that a bit, and well, maybe some more kind of rebalancing, but I don't really have any new ideas, sort of, that it would most probably look quite the same, but a bit formulas would be tweaked mostly. Kind of, I would hope that it would be more interesting both for the newcomers and for experienced players, but I don't know. That's, well, basic balancing stuff like this is quite tricky, and well, GPRO is good already, so it's hard to make much better one.
It is hard, definitely. Yeah, I agree with you. Definitely hard to try to balance the need for activity from newcomers and also the activities from your old school players and your experienced players. Try to get those two to match together. I can definitely think, yeah, it would be a hard thing to kind of balance. And yeah. Is there one thing in GPRO that you would want to change immediately? Like, is there anything that you see now that you feel that needs to be changed instantly, or anything you want to remove, or anything you feel as though shouldn't belong in a game like this?
Well, besides balancing, well, I don't always like the way the randomness is kind of, well, I don't like random, so I would remove those.
Fair, yeah, no,
but
everyone agrees with you on that one. Jukka. Everyone agrees with you on that one.
but maybe I would, well, overtaking and also driver mistakes I would make a bit more random. So basically, if you on hard overtaking track you would get a driver mistake on lap 2, then I think it would be more severe than a random currently, or at least those not race ending randoms. So I don't know if would make it more kind of lenient, but kind of I would move the randomness a bit different places maybe.
Fair. Okay, fair. Yeah.
Because I think it's kind of, well, currently there is some memory in driver mistakes, so that when you have got one, you won't get another one too soon. It's quite easy to see when you look at the races that there is quite clearly there is driver mistakes next to each other unless it rains. So I think that would add quite a lot of randomness if it would be possible that you could stay a long time without no mistakes, but you could also get 2 mistakes in short time, and a lot because of those. So that was, well, when I was playing, I found it annoying that when I was stuck behind someone, I knew that soon I will get a driver mistake, and that was annoying feeling.
Yeah, I can imagine it would be that annoying when you know for a fact that while you're following someone for so long, it would come up. Wow. No, it's definitely interesting for me, especially. I've never heard kind of, an insight into the kind of mechanics of GPRO and how stuff, works. Obviously, you can give us specifics of how everything works, but to have kind of a general broad idea of how stuff is done within the game is definitely interesting to me for sure. But let's move on from GPRO for the time being. I want to hear more about you, Okay, I want to hear about like any hobbies that you have in real life, like anything that you kind of enjoy doing.
Well, like I said, I'm quite dull. I don't have too interesting hobbies either. I like watching cycling on TV, so
Hmm.
that is Ronde van Vlaanderen tomorrow. So I'm eagerly waiting for that, and then I play play something on computer. So lately I have been playing some board games and also sometimes I play poker, even though I'm not good enough on that, or I'm too impatient for that. I guess when when during 15 years ago when I turned 18 and started playing, there was enough dumb people playing it, but nowadays those have left, so I'm just losing money. So that's not very smart. Uh,
No, that's fair. No, I'm 29 now. So when I turned 18 or 19, I started playing poker as well. Started playing those free roll tournaments and started winning quite a bit of money then. So I think by the time I hit 22, 23, I stopped playing it, focused on work, and then I came back trying to play it like a couple of years ago. Yeah, I understand what you mean by poker. There's just so many new brands of poker players now that understand the game, and it's just so much more difficult to try to try to win or try to get through without actually putting time in learning it. Obviously you spoke about your love for cycling. Obviously you've hosted a variety of games in GPRO that's based in cycling. So how did that love of cycling come about first? Like when did you start loving that sport?
well, I I have kind of always loved endurance sports, and cycling had very long races, so
Mm,
I found those interesting when I was a child, but back then I had no opportunity to watch. So I guess I guess it may have been something like 15 to 18 years ago when I finally got Eurosport, so I was able to watch. And at first I watched only the main races, so Grand Tours and main classics. But I think actually the GPRO kind of made me more interested in cycling because Gunther had that first version of that Tour de France game, and
mm.
I won won that game
Yeah.
somehow, and that that got me more interested in watching the races, and then I started hosting it myself because I kind of well that was I thought that I would always win it because I was so good, but it didn't happen. But yeah,
That's
but
right.
the game was nice, and then something like I think it was 2012 when I first played kind of one of those year-long cycling fantasy games where you pick your team and then score based on how your riders do. So I think that got me more interested in also those minor races because
Mm.
they were good opportunities to score points.
That's fair. No, that's fair enough. Did you um did you play the cycling game that I think is I think Eric Rowley um created or like hosted, where you actually create a character for cycling, like you create a player, and then Eric does some sort of kind of track with different kind of elevation and different kind of hills and stuff like that. I remember there's a cycling game that was played on the forums, but I don't know if you've played it or not.
I think at least for one game I was playing, but I think the game died quite quickly.
Mm.
And well, I have played some. Well, I was playing Peloton, a cycling manager game online also. So it was a bit like GPRO but for cycling. But I wasn't so interested in it, and well, eventually I started forgetting to put the team to races, and then I quit that. But I have thought a bit about what kind of cycling manager game I would like, but I think well, cycling races are much more complex than Formula One or kind of track auto car track races. So it's the race engine is much kind of, or to make it look like a real cycling race, the race engine would need to be much more complex and have much more options to choose. And so I haven't found a good solution.
Do you think mixing that Peloton and GPRO together, do you think that would make a good game at all? Like obviously you got to make the engine much more complex, like you said. But would you think the mix of those two would be good?
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I have dreamed of, but well, never really had that eureka moment about how I would do that.
I mean, maybe GPRO version 2 would be a cycling game, you know? You're definitely trying to dream that. So is there any kind of other hobbies that you have? Because I know you have a love for snooker, I think. If I remember.
Well, I mostly I watch the words basically every game, some of those, but otherwise it's quite irregular. So I may watch some games, but well, like I said, I like endurance. So those games in World Championships, those are long enough for me. And well, lately I haven't played myself. When I was jobless, I was kind of playing once a week in kind of, well, it was just kind of shooting some balls. There was no kind of serious practicing. It was just playing, and sometimes we were playing snooker. But maybe I could have been decent if I had practiced, but probably wouldn't have patience enough for that either.
No, fair. I fell in love with the sport when I was 16, so I didn't get into my kind of school of choice, so I didn't do any kind of higher level studies. So I decided to go snooker, and took a lot of time practicing and playing it. So I spent at least maybe 3-4 hours a day playing it for like a good couple of years. So it was definitely a sport that I liked. But yeah, like you said, the endurance part of it, like the kind of the longevity of the game, it's definitely what kept me interested in it for sure. It's much like golf, to be honest. I do like watching golf, even though there's only 18 holes, but it's still it's still quite prolonged, and there's still a lot of action you can watch. And yeah, so any obviously GPRO is a motor racing management game. Is there any kind of motor racing that you like watching?
Well, I'm a Finn, so obviously I like rallying. When I was a child, I had those VHS tapes of some rally races, which I was watching so much that they were totally burnt. And so nowadays it's of course much easier to follow it because you have the VPRC live and all live and stuff like that. And well, I also watch F1 still. I don't know. It's more like kind of because I have always watched it, and there are also some Finns there. So I don't know when Kimi retires and Valtteri gets fired. So I'm not sure if I'm going to still watch it, but it's more of a habit than interesting races that keeps me watching.
No, fair. fair. So, who is your ultimate Formula One racing driver? Because I have a top three, and one of them's a Finn. So, who's your ultimate favorite Formula One driver of all time?
Well, I kind of hate everyone who has driven against Häkkinen or Räikkönen. So, but of course, some of those are quite good. But yeah, I think, well, I don't like Hamilton, but I think ultimately, and I don't know too well of those that have been before I have started watching, but maybe I still say Michael Schumacher.
Yes, Michael Schumacher definitely. Yeah, he's in my top three for sure. Yeah, Michael Schumacher just changed the sport dramatically from when he joined in. But yeah, I know I am a Häkkinen fan for sure. As a McLaren fan, I followed them since I was young, and Häkkinen was kind of the first major driver that I kind of really followed and kind of really supported. So yeah, Häkkinen was definitely one of them. Schumacher, obviously, for longevity, and then my boy Kamui Kobayashi, even though he's not that good, I still love him. He was an absolutely erratic and just unpredictable driver because you just never know what he's going to do. That's why I feel it's much more interesting. But yeah, what about rallying? Like, who's your kind of driver that you follow in rallying? Maybe in the past or maybe now.
Well, when I was a child in those VHS tapes, I think Juha Kankkunen was my favorite back then, and well, probably still is. And I don't know. Back then, Finns were good, so it was nice. But nowadays, those Sebastian are too good, so Finns are not winning any longer. But well, of course, Rovanperä is now interesting because he's so young, but I think, well, I don't know. I don't like Latvala too much, or kind of he's nice to mock, but he he's kind of a bit, I don't know, what would I say. He's fast, but when he makes mistake, it's kind of sad, I think.
No, that's fair. Yeah.
Sad to watch, and it happens so often. But I think Kankkunen and Magnus Grönholm are my favorites. And well, last year I was cheering for Evans, but didn't happen.
Yeah, yeah. I don't really. Yeah, like, as you can tell, I don't really follow rallying much. But no, it's yeah, that's completely fair statement, to be honest. Hey there. I just want to promote a game that's currently being played on GPRO forums. It is Outbreak NASCAR. It's a game from that is hosted by Jonathan Beagles. Very simple game to play. Basically, you choose a driver from NASCAR that is on the list provided by John, and then you'll be sent 10 different kind of cards with number value on them, and those number value determine whether how many kind of squares you move in the circuit, or the amount of fuel you have that you can use to go around. So yeah, it's a very simple game. All the rules will be in the thread. I will link that in the description below as well. But yeah, by all means, please go and join that. That'll be much appreciated. It's a very, very fun game. Yeah, there's still quite a few spaces left, so if you are interested, please feel free to go through. So you also said obviously you play games on your computer. You're saying you're kind of getting into board games now. What board games are you currently playing at the moment?
Well, I think you have had, well, in the forums you have had some games in this board game arena website. So I'm playing there too. I just haven't had time to participate those GPRO games, but quite random games mostly. So I'm quite good in this. No, no one really plays it, but I'm currently leading with the ranking. It's a bit like well, I don't remember what's even the name in English, but well, it's not this game, but basically on Go table you can play this Gomoku where you need to get 5 in a row by placing alternating the turns then when you play a clock there. But it's a bit similar game, but it's not quite the same. So I'm leading the ranking, so that's so I'm no one really plays it, so that's why I'm leading. But yeah, but then some not the most complex one, but quite complex games.
Yeah, like you said, obviously, you said it in the forums. We have some kind of board games like Ticket to Ride. We've got Settlers of Catan that's going on there. Villainius that Chris has hosted. Is there like a board game that you would be interested in seeing on the forums sometimes, maybe soon? Like, kind of any board games that you have an idea of that could be played, well on the forums?
Of course, on forums it's well even on board game arena I usually play turn-based games, so it's not so fast-paced there either. But of course, in forums it's a bit trickier because you just post the move there and someone needs to do the stuff to update the board and stuff like that. So it's a bit tricky, but Ticket to Ride is quite nice. I just bought it last Christmas for my sister as a Christmas present, and I played it a few times. So maybe even a new game of that, or what would be a good game? I don't know. There are so many of them.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I on the top of my head, I can't think of any games that could be brought forward to the forums. Yeah, not on the top of my head. The board games are quite difficult to try to implement them through forums. So yeah, understandable for sure. But yeah, I mean, obviously, ultimately, we're here because of GPRO. Is there any way we might see you back on the forums, or like in the forum game section at least, or in any kind of admin-based work in there? Or, you're not an admin anymore, are you, on GPRO?
Well, I'm not really an admin. Well, I don't have access there, so I don't know. Maybe I can do something little. I don't know. At least something for the viewer if Vlad is making. If Vlad, I don't know. I think Vlad was talking a bit about an app. So maybe I guess the viewer is not directly portable for it. So if the app needs, if the viewer is needed for the app also, then I probably need to at least help Lad a bit in that. And
Yeah.
and well, I don't know. Maybe I can, maybe at some point, but I don't know. But I will definitely, if the Olympics are held next summer, then I'm going to host some games related to that in the forums, and maybe also those cycling tour games. But
No, it would definitely be good to see you back on there because it's been a while, and obviously I see your cycling games on there, and also you also hosted the Ultimate Sportsman, I think the Ultimate Sports Challenge games, the USC.
yeah, so well, that was not my original idea either. So it was hosted by someone else, but it was also not continued. And when I started hosting those cycling games, I kind of started to host that also to promote those cycling games, and then I just kept on hosting it. and and I think it's, well, I'm not sure if I have enough interest to host so many games nowadays. So there was a lot of kind of small games which didn't gather too much participants, and it was more kind of more work than it was fun. But I don't know. Maybe at some point, if there are enough sports games to kind of collect them under one game.
Yeah, because that was definitely interesting for, especially for sports fans. Like I support I watch a lot of sports myself, so it was great to kind of see all that collated into one table. So obviously you got golf. Alan Halford's hosting a golf kind of prediction tournament. We've got the American football one, Greg Tierney. We've got the baseball one by Greg as well. There's loads of different sports that people are doing. So yeah, it would be awesome to kind of have that back, especially during these times when COVID has kind of forbidden people from going out. How has COVID been for you? Obviously, since you lived alone, but surely work must have been kind of a benefit for you being able to go out to the offices and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I have been working remotely for a year now. Well, I was 2 weeks in autumn when the COVID was not so bad, so I was in office, but then it got bad again, and I have been working remotely after that again. So, well, I don't know. Well, I have a home at Helsinki, but currently I have been more at my parents because, well, I had nothing to do in Helsinki, and well, my mother has a cancer and they need help. So I'm kind of, well, I'm here because I have nothing to do in Helsinki and I don't have a life. And well, I think, well, I'm quite good at being alone, but I think if I had been the whole year alone there without going anywhere, I would have gone nuts. So it's better to be here.
No, of course, yeah. No, I'm lucky to be living with kind of my family, like my brother and my mum. So yeah, a whole year by yourself is just too crazy. Like you would have just, I wouldn't even know how to speak to people, to be honest. But yeah, how's it been back with your parents then? Like, has it been okay? Like, obviously, you'd be working remotely, but
Yeah, well, Well, I think, well, of course, it helps in kind of, I don't have to make all the food myself and stuff like that, but I kind of keep getting tantrums like I was a child still.
Oh wow, okay, that's fair.
and it's difficult sometimes, but I think it's definitely better than being all year alone.
That's fair. After COVID, is there like any kind of plans for yourself? Are you going to move back, or are you going to maybe travel or do something? Obviously, once COVID's all over, kind of what's your first mode of plan?
Yeah, I think, well, I don't really like working remotely too much. So even if there was more, well, it was quite free already before COVID. So it was possible to work remotely pretty much all the time, and probably will be after COVID also. But I don't really like it, so I probably go back to Helsinki, go to office at least on most days. And well, of course, now that I have a job and a nice salary, then I have some travel plans. So, but I don't know when that is going to happen. And well, I kind of, well, currently I have no one to travel with, so I kind of like those organized tours, even though they cost a bit more. But well, there is some company, and you don't have to worry so much about getting lost and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, fair. Would you think about going to a GPRO meeting at all? Because obviously we have one in October to Barcelona. Obviously, COVID permitting.
Yeah, I saw that. I was thinking that it wouldn't be impossible to come. I don't, but I'm not really, I'm not that social, so but I guess that would be at least a common thing to talk about, even though I know too much of it to talk about.
Yeah. There's, it doesn't matter if you're not, unsociable or not. Within the GPRO meetings, a lot of people are socially awkward and kind of try to refrain from public interaction. But I believe you'll feel pretty okay with it. It would be awesome to kind of visit you and see you in person anyway. Even though you say you're a dull person, I think your life is interesting. Being from being a data analyst in the bank to kind of your hobbies. Your love for board games, your love for different sports. Even though you feel yourself as dull, sorry. I believe everyone else would think you're kind of an interesting person. And I know a lot of people would want to definitely listen to this podcast for sure. So no, it'll be good to see you. Should you want to do it. But is there like a dream destination that you would want to travel to when it's over, like an ultimate place?
Well, as a child, I was dreaming about Australia and round the world trip. And I guess it's still pretty much the same. It would be nice to go to Australia at some point. Of course, it's very long flight.
Yeah.
And so I don't know when. And I'm more comfortable staying in closer distance. But yeah, but in Europe, I would like to go cycling in the Alps, but I'm just not. I'm too lazy to practice, and my fitness is not good enough at least currently. But I would like to visit Alps and especially Dolomites at some point, whether it's on a bike or just on a car, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And the Alps, I haven't been to the Alps before. I would have thought I've been to the Alps, but no, I haven't actually been. Yeah, it's definitely one place I really want to go to. That's for sure. But no, Jukka, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, man. It's been really fun, been really good. Definitely an eye opener listening to you and kind of your story. Anything else you would want to say in the podcast at all? Anything?
No, I don't think so. Well, I of course. Well, Vlad has made a great game, so thanks for that, and thanks for everyone for trying to beat me, even though they weren't so successful.
That's good. Yeah, no, I second that. No, Vlad has created an amazing game. You know, it's been running for 80 seasons, man. It's been running for 15 years. So nah, props to him, man. It's really good. But no, Jukka, thank you very much for taking your time to talk to me, man. It's been really good. It's been really interesting for sure. I hope you enjoyed it as well.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Cheers, everyone, for listening. The next episode, I have some very special as well to interview. So, yeah, cheers, everyone, for listening, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.